Good morning, Coach.
Morning.
And welcome again. I think we last spoke some few weeks ago, but now we're in the final week, just before Comrades. It's like 7 days before Comrades.
Yes, that's true.
All right. I think I want to get some info from you as to what advice now you can give people who are prepping. It's taper week, so what should they be doing? Eating, the sleeping, shoes, tights, etc. Let's go.
100%. Well, taper week is here, so probably the biggest thing that you must be careful of is making more mistakes than right things. In other words, changing things. People tend to do silly things at this time. We don't want to elaborate, but don't change what you've been doing. You know, don't try and play catch up with your training. This is a taper week. It mustn't be a lazy week. You don't want your body to go from recovery to race. You have to be normal. So normal is like I sleep a certain amount, I eat a certain amount, I drink a certain amount, I have certain nutrition that I do. In other words, my supplements is all fixed by now. If it's not fixed by now, you can't change anything. You should be doing exactly what you're doing every week so that your body is normalized. Don't make the mistake of going down to Expo and having some tablets and finding new whatever tablets. That is a big mistake. In fact, if some people come to me for nutrition now, I would tell them I'll meet you after Comrades because we can't change things now. So if you're eating pap every night and rice or chicken or whatever, don't try to doll it up because you're going to stay in a hotel. Be careful of hotel food too, because hotel food could be a dangerous thing if you're going to stay in a hotel. If you stay, try and cook your own food, man. That's the big thing. The same stuff you have when you're at home. Don't now try and find fancy curries the night before the race. Not a good idea. Curry the night before the race. It might help you a lot if you can use those little blue bottles, those blue plastic things on the route. It will be nice to spend half your day there. It's not going to be a good idea. On race day, prepare your race as if halfway is 60 kilometers. Don't think of race halfway is Drummond. Yeah, Drummond is 44, 45 k's, but that's not really halfway in Comrades. Most people crash at 60 k's. And on your race, do not change your nutrition just purely because you see things you like. You feel like I need more, but you can't put more. Remember, nutrition in a race is just to help you get to the finish. It's kind of like pillars to keep your energy system going. It's not going to make it come back. So don't let anyone tell you if you take this, you'll feel like you never even started. It's a lie. It's like imagine the graph of your nutrition slowly as your energy starts to deplete through the race. It will, because it's a long way. But then you just use these pillars to keep it going. Drink enough water, don't overdrink, don't underdrink. Remember, a lot of training runs are done quite fast compared to, say, your Comrades. You know, a lot of people run whatever. They run 5 minutes a K, which is a silver Comrades for training, but then they come for a marathon, then they come to Comrades. Remember, it's a longer race. You're running slower, so your nutrition might be a little less, but more often. Don't make the mistake of saying to yourself, I'm going to drink lots. And especially the day before. I've seen people on the beach having a 2 liter of Coca-Cola the day before and a 2 liter of water. That's going to mess his day up. It's going to be the end of him. He's going to have a really hard day. I think those are the quite critical things that can happen in this last week.
Oh, and in terms of clothing, shoes?
Yeah, in terms of clothing, by now you should know exactly what you're going to wear. You can't now go and buy a new pair of shoes and say, oh, I must quickly patch in. There again, it's playing catch up, you see. Some people will come to the place where they say, maybe I should do another extra long run, or maybe I should get a new pair of shoes, or maybe I must, change my vest, or maybe I must change my underwear. That's going to be a mistake. It's going to be a big mistake because all those things are now going to be, in fact, all the new things are a mistake. Anything new. If I'm going to wear kit, it's worn through, well-used kit that I know doesn't scratch me, kit that I know doesn't hurt me, shoes that I know are a little bit worn in but not over-worn in. I want to make sure that I get to the race. I've got a pair of shoes that can run 90 k's. I know the new shoes only last maybe 600 kilometers, but at least have a shoe that's comfortable. Make sure my socks are the right socks. Don't go and buy a new pair of socks now for Comrades. Use the ones that are always comfortable in your long runs.
And then finally, let's tackle how you'd recommend basically general running of Comrades. You know, some mad hills. It's a down run, but how down is down?
Absolutely.
To the beginning.
Yeah, no, Comrades down run is not really a down run, you understand? In fact, the big danger of Comrades is the first 22 Ks already. You'll find when you go to the highest point, Umlas Road or Lion Park, you've gone to 22, 23 Ks out of the race, only just started, you've gone down polys, little polys, and you think, this is all downhill from there, but it's not true. You're literally climbing to Umlas or Lion Park. And this is where people don't realize. They get to 25 Ks and they think, oh, why am I so tired? Well, you're so tired because you've climbed a major amount of hills getting to 22 Ks alone. So don't evaluate yourself in the first quarter of that race. Forget about it. Just run. Don't think, and don't do stupid things like trying to be in front of the race. You know what? Many people run from A seeding and still win Comrades. So don't let them think. Don't think you have to play stupid things for the first, and don't do the TV thing. We're all well aware of the TV runners. They sprint the first 2 kilometers like stupids, and then what happens? That 2 kilometers is going to make your last 30 kilometers horrible. You're going to have the worst 30 kilometers of your life because you've made your lactate go high and you've actually messed up your day. So you're going to actually, all those miles and hours of training and preparation, you're now going to mess it up. Also, be careful of over planning. In other words, you know, when you start in November, December, maybe training even January, you're hoping to maybe finish. By the end of January, when you're starting to feel fit, a little bit fit, you're starting to think, oh, maybe I can get a bull run, you know. And as it goes on, you start, yeah, now my end of February, now I'm feeling so strong, maybe I can get a silver, you know? I'm an outside silver. And before long, you keep training, you're feeling even better, your races are getting better. And then now you think, hey, I'm going to touch gold now, you know, I'm nearly ready for gold. And the reality is, you've got to be real with yourself. If you're running 5 minutes a K in normal runs, you're probably going to need a Comrades 530K. A max, I would say. If you're running a 4 minute K, that would mean a sub 6 hour. I don't think you want a sub 6 hour. If you're running 4 minutes a K, doesn't mean you can run a sub 6. You're probably hoping to run a 430 per K for that whole 90 Ks, if you're lucky. If you've done the distance, you've done the right type of conditioning, maybe. Don't expect Comrades to be like a marathon. It's not a marathon. The nutrition is different, everything else is different. So, first 22 Ks, manage yourself smartly, be disciplined, run comfortably, work out your per kilometer that you would like to finish, not pie in the sky, as I said, not a gold medal, but you know you can't even get a silver, or never got a silver in your life. Also, don't expect that it will change you. It's not going to change now because somebody told you that. Don't take the advice of your club friends. You know, club guys, they mean well and they say, hey, you're looking so good and this and that, but sometimes that pressure just makes matters worse. They're telling you you're going to get a gold. Also, don't get on social media and tell everyone you're going to get a gold. I have elite athletes that are telling me they're going to win Comrades, and I say, hey, be careful. Now you get a 10th place, you get a gold, it's a brilliant race. But because you said you're going to win, everybody says, you didn't have a good race. But you actually had a brilliant race because you got a gold medal. Or even you were trying for your silver, or you're getting a bull run, and now you did the bull run, you feel disappointed because you were expecting a silver, or other people were expecting silver, but you in your heart knew. Be real. Don't be caught up in that song and dance. And remember, Comrades is a race like any other race. You start your planning 3 days before, you know that how I eat, how I sleep. Don't go down to Comrades and sit in the hotel and sleep all day. And swim on the beach all day, be on the beach in the sun, or worse, be in that seawater all the time and then expect to have a good race. You're not going to have a good race. You need to think disciplined about this week, really disciplined.
And how do you tackle those hills at Comrades? Like how do you stay on one day?
Well, there's,
5 minutes a day. I don't know what the formula for running hills. What would you say is the formula for running hills?
I like to think a hill is like any other run, up and down, but I don't push into a hill. I don't allow the athlete to go and do some silly things. You've got to keep your pace even. So if you're planning, say for example, to run a 5-minute K, which is a silver, then you don't try and run 5-minute K uphill. You might run 4:45 down, 4:50 down, and then uphill you might run 5:05 or 5:06, whatever the case might be. Don't look at every kilometer. You'll make yourself insane in Comrades. Comrades, you should rather split it up into blocks. Think of Comrades like, I'm getting to Umlaas Road, that's 22 k's. Okay, now I look where I am. Or 10 k's first to check that I'm not going too fast in the beginning. So obviously 10 k's, if I'm running 5 minutes a k, that's 50 minutes. And then I can go to 22 k's and then I can measure it. So I can get my splits right and not think, hey, checking the watch, hey, I'm running too slow, I'm running too fast. No, don't do that. Rather have like a routine of splits so that when you get to halfway, you can then reevaluate and say, oh, geez, I'm way behind what I was, or I'm way ahead of what I was. Let me see what I can do in the second half.
Is there any places after the halfway point meaning 60 k's, is there any, at that point, is there any way you can salvage trying to make up time, or we can lose time?
The only thing you can do is hold on tight after 60 k's. Everybody's tired. Even if you just run a jogging 60 k's, it's going to be hard. So if you go for a 60 k run, you'll feel when you come home you want to sleep, you don't want to mow the lawn. Eh? So the same thing is applicable to guys like us on a race day. It's even worse because now you're not only running hard, you're not stopping like you normally do in training to drink. You're running maximum. You're running through the valley of 1,000 hills. It's nothing easy about it. Now you get to 60 k's, you feel really ragged, and this is where psychologically you need to put your head together and say, you know what, I'm not a walkie-talkie, I'm a runner. I don't do walking, and this story of walking and running, it's really not for me as a coach. I believe you spend, every time you just stop and start, you waste a minute. So if you do that 20 times, you wasted 20 minutes, you know, and that is just so silly. You're a runner, you've been running all along. Why are you now trying to do a lot of walking and running? And your mind won't allow you to behave nicely. The minute it starts to walk, it wants to walk more. In fact, if you walk long enough, stop, walk, run, stop, try to run, then you walk again. Especially after 60 k's, you'll find that you're starting to sit down to do a massage or lie down to do a massage. Then you're walking, running, eating rubbish. Don't get into that zone. You've come to finish this thing. You've worked so hard. I think you've done so much effort preparing for this thing. I don't think you want to be somebody who throws it away in the last 20 or 30 k's. Don't do that. Your pickup or your attempt to change things can be done in the last, I would say, 8 k's. But that's of course, if you haven't done lots of walking and nonsense, then what's the point of walking and nonsense and trying to sprint the last 8 k's? No. Keep knocking on it. The professionals, all the professionals know, when the thing gets tough, just put your head down, breathe nicely and keep going. Maybe you go a little bit slower, but you keep going. You don't stop and have what we call pick and pay. You know, we kind of stop and look at the shop there and buy something there at the water point. No, we don't look to see what's nice at the water point because we're feeling tired and finding reasons to stop. No, don't do that. You carry on doing what you were doing in training and what you planned at the day one. Make your mind set before the start of the race that I'm not going to get into that zone. I'm going to be in a race zone from start to finish, and you'll find that your race will be finished quicker. It might not be easier. It will be hard. That's what Comrades is about, and most ultras are about. You want to make sure that you get to the finish with something that you can put in a bag and say, wow, that was a good day.
Tell us about the niggles that you feel during your taper week after all this training.
100%.
What's going on in people's minds? Maybe the people going through it now.
100. As you said there, you'll find when you start to taper, the body goes back into recovery or tries to go into recovery, and then it starts to give a lot of niggles. You know, I've had a lady come to me, tell me her calf was torn. She had a sauna. She said to me, 2 weeks out, I've got a torn calf. What now? The doctor said 3rd-degree tear. I said, 3rd-degree tear, you're not running anyway. But I said, you know what, let's go for a walk. And then, of course, we walked a little bit. I said, let's go for a light jog. And she said, it's sore. I said, I know, but what's the option? You've trained so much. You've done so much work now. The option is, let's get to the start of the race. If it's too sore, you'll anyway not be able to run. Then it's the end of it anyway. But you've invested too much time, too many techies are buying running shoes, too much nutrition, too many hours spent getting this away from your families and all that. Let's just do it. And this girl ran a silver that year. She ran a silver, not even imagining she could. And when I saw at the finish, I said, so what happened with the cough? She said, no, I didn't feel it at all. Same as a guy like David Khatebe. David Khatebe, in the night before the race, he had a bit of an injury in the back of the hamstring. For 3 weeks, he was running like half a cripple. In taper time, when we started to go seriously into tape down the last week, it was so, I could see. But it was a lot more psychological than physical. So what happened the night before the race, he spoke to me and he said to me, Coach, I said to him, you know what, this was our discussion, if you run properly tomorrow, if things work out, you can actually break this record. That was my statement to him the night before the race. And he said, but, and he pointed at the injury, and I said, no, well, let's not but the injury. If the injury is there, you won't even make it the first 20 Ks. But if it doesn't, you're going to have the greatest day of your life. And he did. He not only ran the race and won the race, he broke the record. So that shows you something.
But Coach, let's get to now super shoes.
Yes.
In your opinion, when should, because us runners, we love the super shoes, and we buy them and we use them. But can you just let us know where it's useful and where it's not useful? So who do you recommend running super shoes and who do you recommend not running super shoes?
Well, this is an interesting one. Super shoes are designed for speed. Probably, I would say around a 3-minute K run, typically. That's kind of where they live. Maybe 4-minute K too, but it's really not designed for stability. And I don't really believe they designed it for a 90K race, especially with mountains, rough roads. Those were designed for like when the Kenyans are running a marathon, and it's nice and flat, and it's a beautiful roads, and there's no serious hills there. It's a different thing. And with the carbon plate and the P-backs at the back, it's made to kick off on you. If you are used to that, you've trained in that all the time, different thing. And you found that you don't have any, but I found even with my elite athletes, we train in one group of shoes and we race in super shoes. And we only race it for the 90Ks, or we race it for the 42Ks. But these are elite athletes. These are guys, silver and above at least, much above silver, more like Wally Haywood, sub 6 hour, and maybe even gold medalist. These are the guys that we're talking about for the super shoes. And at that price, no offense, guys, I don't know, it doesn't quite, and it only runs maybe 3 or 4 races, then it's finished. It's quite difficult to, I would say generally a guy from Bill Rowan backwards, in other words to a finisher, maybe you should be looking at a more stable shoe. I don't want to make a name of a shoe, but obviously some good stability, especially if you've got a bit of pronation or supination. Super shoes are not made for pronators and supinators, although most elite athletes are supinators. It's still not made for that. So I would say look for a shoe that you're used to. If you've been training in super shoes, I hope it's okay. We did find that super shoes can kind of mess you up on a long training, consistent long slow training. You're going to run at 4 minutes a K, you will get a Wally Haywood. I mean, you get a Wally Haywood, which is sub 6 at 4 minutes a K. So if you're going to run at 5 minutes a K, you get a silver. I don't know if it's going to make that much of a difference to you. We always hear about the 3%, but 3% is great if you're not injured. It's kind of like buying a car. If you buy a second-hand car, the car you want is reliable. I might buy one of these fancy 4x4 whatever, but then it gets stuck on the side of the road. There's no point. I'm stuck there all the time. I have someone to tow me, and it's the same with running. The shoe I have, I want to have a shoe that's reliable. Again, I'm careful to say the brand, but maybe let's just say it like a Toyota. It's a reliable thing. It might not be the most perfect car on the planet, but it's not the most luxurious. It's not a Ferrari or whatever, but it's reliable, and that's kind of the shoe you need to be looking for if you're not in the elite range. If you're in the elite range, maybe you want the Ferrari. I don't know. But this should have been tested already. This shouldn't be something new. Again, if you've been training every day in your elite shoes, your super shoes, and you're used to those shoes, and you haven't had injuries anymore, go for it.
And then, when is it okay to walk in Comrades? Because sometimes maybe you're going through really a tough patch. Could you ever say someone can walk, or just Yeah, just from your experience from running the race and coaching elite, and you coach socials as well.
Yes.
When you rotate to walk, it can happen.
Yeah, I think the trouble with walk is it's the behavior of the mind. It's a very hang on a minute. It's a very I want to say negative thing for many reasons. The mind is a survival machine, and the survival machine wants to protect your energy resource. In other words, the energy you have in your body. So the minute you start to walk, the brain says it's beating you to make you walk. So you'll be running along, and there's kind of like two little devils. One's telling you walk, other one says no, keep going. And one's telling you walk, and you have this debate in your head all the time. And I think this is the danger. When the one little devil wins that makes you walk, he wants to make you walk more. And I'm pretty sure any athlete will tell you, the minute you start to walk, you might walk one pole, and then just now you're walking 2, and then you're walking 5, you understand? And as the day gets on, as it gets worse, because the mind says, I know how to protect the energy resource by making you walk. It's your own mind, unfortunately, but it does do that. So the best way to do it is try to keep going as long as you can. Try to keep going. And if you do really walk, measure it critically. Be very critical with yourself. Say, in this whole race, if I have to really walk, I feel it's so painful. Because what happens, the mind says, it's so painful, just walk. And it's not going to recover now, my friend. I got bad news. You're going to only recover at the finish of the race. Tonight you're going to recover, or the night after, the next day, 3-4 days after, you're going to recover. You won't recover in that race. There's no way. You think you're going to stop and start. The pain is going to be exactly the same. There's no point. The injury, the niggles, whatever it is, that feeling in the muscles is going to be so sore that you're going to think, a quick walk will make me relief. It doesn't. And don't start doing funny things like Voltaren massages all over your legs. You'll end up sick or end up in a first aid tent. Avoid that stuff. You don't do it day to day. And don't go with tablets. I've seen so many people, pain tablets. My friend, unfortunately for you, those pain tablets will not help in Comrades. Trust me. I remember from the old days they used to give Besanols and all these things to try and help us. It's a lie. It doesn't change anything. In fact, it makes things worse, and you could actually end up with kidney failure. I've had an athlete that ran with cataplasm D, and he ended up almost on dialysis. He nearly destroyed his kidneys. Totally destroyed. It was really bad. So I don't recommend any tablets. They're lying to you. Those pain tablets do not help on race day. You can do that maybe the night after or something, I don't know. And drink enough water when you're doing funny things. But don't take... I've seen guys have boxes of tablets and even handing out tablets on the road, guys. I've seen a guy so painful, he says to the guy, I've got a tablet for you. You don't know if this guy has got heart problems. You don't know if he's able to tolerate, he's allergic to that type of tablet. He's going to be allergic to ibuprofen or something like that, and you could end up being dead. I think that's where we need to stop. We need to draw the line. So walking could be structured, but dangerously so. I think if you're going to finish Comrades in 12 hours, you could probably walk quite a bit, to be fair. But I would still measure it like I'm allowing myself a 10-second walk, or I'm allowing myself 5, and that can only be the last 20 k's maximum. You don't want to play around before that. I mean, people talk about running uphill, running downhill and walking uphill or something. You're going to be doing a lot of walking. I can tell you it's half and half. So you'll be spending 50 k's of walking. And if anybody who knows anything about walking, 10 k's you're going to spend 2 hours of walking if you walk slow. That is going to waste your time on race day.
And then you took the fun stuff. So with the elite, firstly, how long is Comrades this year? How long? Yeah,
they reckon 89 point something. I think it's about 89.9, which I quite like because that's Comrades.
That's the real Comrades.
This nonsense of 84 and 85, that is not a Comrades. Okay. And the trouble is, of course, the record. So the record's going to be a very difficult one this year, but I think it's possible. There's some good athletes out there, world-class athletes. Athletes that should really be running marathons because they got world-class standard. They could be going. We have a problem in our country. We know that we haven't got world-class marathoners at the moment. We've got 206, 205, and this is great, but we never got near 2 hours yet. And unfortunately, if you run at 206, you might be in the top, I don't know, 50 in the world maybe. But I mean, I know that Japan has more than 50 athletes under 210. So we need to start bucking up there. And unfortunately, due to the structure that it is, we find people polarizing to Comrades and to Oceans way before they should, maybe. But neither it is because it is what it is. And so if you are that type of guy also, you know, a 210 athlete, don't be one of these 210 athletes that starts the race thinking he's going to run 5 hours. I've got some bad news for you. We've had some clever clowns doing that. We call them clever clowns. You know, clever clowns, they'll start as if they're going to win this race and they're 16 minutes ahead, and then at 60 k's they're doing the walkie-talkie stuff. You know, don't do that. Yeah. Sorry, the question you asked, Steve.
With how long is the Comrades and how are the elites looking this year?
Okay, the Comrades being 89.9 means that the guys that normally win at 84 might have a little bit more trouble. You know, it's not going to be quite as easy as it was. And a lot of things can happen in the last 20 k's this year, because now the game changes a little bit. If someone thinks 5 k's is no difference, I've got some bad news for you. When you get to 84 k's, 5 k's is quite a bit of difference. You'll remember every step of that last 5 k's. Yeah. So the elites, my elites are looking good. There's a couple of good elites. We've been in Dahlstrom. It's becoming quite busy now. In the old days, it was only us, myself and Andrew, alone there in Dahlstrom. We don't feel so lonely now. I've never seen so many people in Dahlstrom, but it's been good, and they're looking good. They really are. So I'm hoping for the elites that they get a good year that they have. There are challenges, but we don't want to talk about the negative things.
Of course.
There are challenges, but.
Do you think this year, given there's so much talent, do you think maybe to be a very technical a race over speed?
It will definitely be the smart boy will win. You know, the smart boy will win. Somebody who knows how to play the game. You know, there are a lot of contenders. I mean, we could talk contenders all day. Of course, Pete's back, so he's a definite contender. Old Sete's there. And Gordon, who's run 3 goals, he also wants to be out there. There's a lot of serious fighters there. A lot of raw talent. And Comrades, anybody. The first 100, anyone in the first 100 can get a goal. And that makes it good.
So you say it's one of the it'll be one of the most exciting ones we've had in a long time, I guess.
We're hoping so. The run up to Comrades, the marketing, I've seen a lot on social media. That is good, and we're trying also, in terms of this to get the vibe going. I think everybody must tell their families, you know, what is happening, because unfortunately it's not there at the moment to know where it's going to be on. It's going to be on Supersport, I think, eh? So go and have a look there. Supersport, you owe me for that. No, but the reality is, get the old ladies, the gogos out there, and they used to always watch it the whole day. They don't know where it is. Maybe invest in a family and say, I'm prepared to pay for the day or something, so they can watch something. You know.
Awesome, Coach. I think that's it. Any last words for the competitors?
Well, I think they must go out there and have a good day, man. It must also be fun. We do this not only to perform, you know, we do to enjoy it. And be careful of the flus and nonsense. So don't go and shake hands with everybody. I think it's time to behave a bit like COVID. You know. Get your mask if you're going down to Common. You can have one of these things to cover yourself. But get your mask. Don't feel embarrassed. We've learned from COVID that you don't have to be embarrassed to do this. Wear your gloves. Wash your hands often. Don't go with big public places now. And if you are sick, for goodness sake, don't start the race. If you really got flu, don't start the race thinking maybe I'll get fixed. You will not get fixed. Also, don't go to Expo sick and make everybody else sick. You know, you can be 2 days before the Expo and then everybody else has got full of flu. Think of other people. I think that's very, very important. If you got sick and I know a lot of the clubs, they do like T-shirts and that they give it here in the last week, and they go to a function, then you find 3 guys they're sick, and I'm going like, what are you guys doing here? All these people have trained the whole 6 months, and you're going to make them sick now in the last week. That is a day over. So I think that's probably a very critical thing. Be smart.
Oh, no, thank you so much, Coach, and until next time then.
And good luck, everybody.
Ciao.
Thanks. Ciao.